Hello everyone, this is Lolly. I am back from Creativation, ready to get back to work on my Valentine flip junk journal. So as I said before, we are going to work on sewing in the 3 signatures into our cover. I will give you the link down below to the whole playlist so you won't miss any of the videos. Now I have recently purchased this, which is the Weird Memory Keepers bookbinding guide. But I am not going to use it in this video, and just because I want to do a separate video on just how to use this. So in the meantime, let's just work on how to sew signatures in any old journal that you have. So my spine is 1.5 by 6 inches. So the first thing I want to do is make a little template that is the same size. And then the middle line needs to be the center of your spine. So that is going to be at 3/4 of an inch. And then where you place your other ones is up to you, but I really don't like it being really close to the fold, so I just went right in the middle. So this comes out to 3/8 inch, 6/8 inch, which is the same thing as 3/4, and 7/8, which is the same thing, 9/8, which is the same thing as 1 1/8. So then I drew the lines across there. Then you want to find the center, which is, because this is 6 inches, this is 3, and so from that center I marked little dots on each line. You could draw the line all the way across if you wish. And then where you go for your other 2 lines is up to you. If I went in the middle, I just don't think that's wide enough, so I went 1 inch from the end. So I marked 1 inch, 3 inch, 5 inch. And then that is for marking this. And then I made another one that's also 6 inches, and I scored it in the middle so I could find out where the center is. And this is for actually poking the holes in all of my inserts. So I have a block of styrofoam, and what I do is when I get packaging materials, you order something in the mail, I save the styrofoam blocks, and then you need some kind of pokey tool. This is an etch-all one. It's actually for like picking or weeding your extra vinyl out when you're doing vinyl projects. And all you need to do is just poke a hole in these so you can find where your holes are. And the other thing which I forgot to mention is that I like to mark which end is up, because we're human, we make mistakes, and I want to always mark which end is up. Okay, so I'm going to lay this on here and center it on there. And if you want, you can use a binder clip. This is actually like 6 1/4 maybe, I don't know. And then I'm doing this from the outside, and I'm just going to poke holes through the cover, through the spine. Now I'm going through all those layers because I have my file folder, and I have the decorative paper, and I have the decorative paper here, and I've also done some Mod Podging. So anyway, I did my holes through the back, through the front, so that the roughness of the hole would be on the inside and not here, but it's totally up to you. Now I have the same thing here, which I should line up here. I can't really see there. It's the same width, so it should work out. And I just want to do the center ones on this one, the vertical centers. And that's just so that I can do my inserts as well. And I like to use waxed linen thread for my binding, and that is just because it's a nice material to work with. It doesn't stretch. Whatever material you use, you don't want something that is going to stretch over time and cause problems, because then your binding would be all loose. I have just now put some of this in my shop, and I'm going to use a tapestry needle. The wax linen thread that I'm putting in my shop, I am going to include a tapestry needle in there. Okay, so the first signature, we're going to measure. Let me grab one here. I have to make sure these are upright. And I'm going to have to make sure these are all lined up for me before I proceed, because like I can see that my heart is not in the right place. Okay, so one of the things that helps sometimes is just to go ahead and get these folded Like a lot of these cardstocks have been pre-scored, but the rest of it has not. And you'll see that they're not all even or level, and that is fine with me because that's just how I like it. I'm trying to think of what I want on the inside. I don't really want this on the inside, so I'll put this on the inside, but I want this to go there, and then this. Okay, so let's get that all folded and creased. Now, this is going to go in the center so that I can, and I've got the arrow up to remind me, and then I'm going to use some binder clips because I need to poke those holes in there. I'm shoving my little creased paper down into the spine, and I can see I've got an issue sideways here with some of the papers poking out. So let's see if I can get that lined up a little better. I'm going to lay this over here and poke those holes. And I just put my pokey tool away. I'm going to go through all layers. Okay. Now, to measure, I want to start at the center here and kind of put I'm having enough here to tie in a knot. I'm going to the right hole, to the far left hole, back to the center, and enough to tie again. So, scissors would be good for that, huh? Alrighty. Now, I need 3 of those. 1 for each signature. I definitely would not recommend using yarn to fasten these off, again, because it would stretch over a period of time. Okay, now I had my needle here. I'm going to thread this and leave a tail right there. And again, making sure this is up, I want to remove because sometimes I forget and I leave my little guide in there. Get the guide out. Now, we're going to put this in. Make sure everything's vertical. And I'm sure when all this is said and done, something is going to go in here upside down because that's the way I am. I'm going to go down the center. Now, I'm going to hold this sideways because it's easy for me to work, but just remember this is the center hole, the top hole, the bottom hole. You know, with the way you're looking at it, it'll be right hole and left hole. I'm going to go down the center like this and leave enough there to tie a knot and come down the center hole of my cover. And I'm going to pull that little snug. I have several videos where I've shown this. The funny thing is, you know, sometimes we say there's nothing new under the sun. I thought I made this up. I saw someone had stitched a signature into a journal. It had 3 holes. I was like, oh, I could figure that out. And I thought I made it up. This has not been made up by me. I found out later it's called the pamphlet stitch. Now we're going to go through the top hole in the same row here of the cover and the top row through all of these papers like that. And sometimes you have to almost use pliers. Now when you want to pull this tight, don't pull it tight toward each other or you'll tear your holes. Pull them away from each other like this. Now I'm going to cross all the way over and go down the bottom hole and down the bottom hole of the cover. It gets a little tough here. Okay, it's coming, it's coming. There. I'm going to pull that tight. I need to pull a little bit of my extra cord here. There we go. And I'm going to pull that to the left really snug. And now I'm going to go back up through the center. But the only thing you need to know when you're coming up through the center, this long piece of the linen thread here, my tail is on the right side. Whatever side your tail is on, you want to come up on the opposite side. So I'm going to come up on the opposite side, which will be that side. So you don't always know until you get started how it's going to come up. So I just kind of wiggle around, kind of look in the back, and as you see your needle, that's when you want to push it up on the opposite side. Okay. There we go. So now I'm going to pull the one I just did. I'm pulling it away from the cord I just did. There we go. I'm going to look in the back and make sure it's tight across here because that's important. I think I'm going to have to get rid of this for now. It's important that these two are tight. Now I'm going to tie these in a knot, a double knot across over the long strand I have there. So right over left and then left over right. And then I like to trim these so they're not so long they're sticking out over the top or the bottom of the cover. And then when I get a chance, sometimes I like to cover those ends with 2 matching hole punches. I'm going to use this kind of a burgundy color here. We need 4 of them. Like that. But again, this is totally optional. You don't have to do this. The other thing we would need would be a tiny attacher. And I'm going to use like Eileen's tacky glue. Whatever kind of tacky glue you have on hand is going to be fine. And I'm just going to put a little glue on a butterfly. Where'd my lid go? Put the end of the waxed linen there, match it up with the other butterfly. Oops. I'm going to squeeze those together just to kind of get a little bit of a hold, and then I'm going to staple it, making sure I get that staple as much in the middle as I can. So I'm stapling the actual waxed linen thread. Now it just gives a little extra cuteness to the project. I can undo this as well. I'll give you a link down below to the papers in this kit that I'm using. There we go. Okay. Now I want to make sure that there's no glue squishing out, or when I close this, I might accidentally glue my insert, my signature shut. So this is one signature in my flip junk journal. I have 2 more rows to do, so what we need to do is start over again with the next set. Oops. And this is okay to be my center. I think I need to put this back in there. Put that back a little bit. Okay, now when I grab these, I am pushing down with my thumb into that center to make sure that I've got all the papers really squished well together. Okay, now I want to load that in there. Make sure the arrow is up for which end is up. Get my pokey tool and do the same thing again. I'm kind of holding this like a V now because I really want to make sure I'm going straight down into all of those. Okay. Now I'm going to do this again. This one will be a little harder because I don't have as much room for my hands in here. Okay, let's thread this, get that going. these ones are a little small. Alrighty, we've got one more signature to put in. We've got 2 in here. You can see how chunky it is already. And these will eventually cooperate better than they are now. One last signature, and that's this one. Now, the interesting thing about this, you can place this where you want it, all the way at the top, all the way to the bottom, or in the middle. And I think I am going to try for the middle. And I realize I won't be able to clip it anywhere except on the very end here like this to make sure it doesn't travel on me. But I do want to clip these side pieces to make my holes. Here we go. Last one, and yes, this last one is the hardest to get in just because we don't have as much room on our table. I mean, excuse me, we don't have as much room to get our hands in here. Okay, here we go. Down through the center. One of the things that we can do that might make this easier is to kind of clip this out of our way. Let's see if we can do that. Oh yeah, that's going to help me a lot. Okay, now I can see what I'm doing, and down the center here. Let's find something new. I'm going to put this away so I don't lose it. Now the question is, yes, this is a little bit bigger, I think. Let me look. Okay, let's take all of our clips off. Let's make sure these are dry. Take this clip off, and we will look at the book as it is now. This is the Flip Junk Journal. We could call it quits right now, but of course we're not going to, because we are going to be decorating this in our next few, maybe two, we'll see, maybe one. We're going to decorate this and add in the embellishments from the paper collection, some stickers, maybe paper clips, whatever we have, and thank you so much for watching. Love this project. You can also, by the way, leave the spine as it is, or you can cover this up if you don't like the look of these sticking out there. You can always use some lace or something like that. So loving this project, and again, see how it springs out. You might want to consider putting a tie around yours as well. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope that makes sense.